It's a good time out on the podcast, Truth to Power. Truth to Power is a program where we x-ray minority persecuted groups and communities in Nigeria. Today on the program, we'll be looking at other issues that are coming up in respect of the Yuletide attack in communities in Plateau State, specifically Bokos, and over 200 persons were killed. After that Christmas Eve and Christmas Day attacks still continued. Even around the New Year's Eve also, there were killings and attacks even after that too. Now, this attack in Plateau State has become a recurring decimal every Yuletide. And this is something that has been happening in about 8 or 9 years now. Most of these attacks, from what has been known or discovered, is the fact that they are carried out by persons that claim to be headsmen. And rather unfortunately too, a very, very large percentage of these persons that claim to be headsmen, I'll tell you the reason why I say persons that claim to be headsmen, happen to be from the Fulani tribe and almost 100% Muslims. And the communities that are being attacked, sadly too, are non-Fulani tribes. They are not herding tribes. They are basically artisanal farmers, and they are almost 100% not Fulani and almost 100% Christians or animists. Now, it's taking religious and a tribal slant, and sadly too, it always happens around one of the most popular Christian celebration, which is the Christmas. Now, before the recent attack happened, there were security terror alerts that came out as far back as October and November, indicating that there are imminent attacks that would happen in these specific communities in Plateau State. And sadly, the attacks happened. Truth Nigeria, that are proudly sponsoring Truth to Power, came out with all of this terror attacks, came up with so many reports and stories and editorials in respect of this imminent attack that would happen during the Yuletide. But was it that nobody was listening to us? Or is it that nothing could actually have been done? Why people say it is ethnic cleansing, some call it a genocide, others see it as economic cleansing, while some people also want to directly link it to what's happening in the Central African Republic, where people come to dissipate communities where there are precious mineral deposits. Also, unverified information that we are getting from areas that were dissipated in the past years is that these herders that identify as Fulanis have also occupied the spaces where people were decimated in the past year, and they've been carrying out illegal mining, occupying these ungoverned spaces. Is it with the knowledge of the government? One would not want to believe that that is possible. But why does it seem that the government is incapable of handling this situation and bringing it to a stop? That is what we'll be looking at on the program today, and of course, how or what we think should be done to stop this incessant and recurring attack on Christian minority communities, most especially in the Middle Belt and northern part of Nigeria. On the program today, I have Mike Odeh Akatu. He is a reporter with Truth Nigeria. Mike Odeh, you are welcome to the program.
Professor Ace, thanks. Viewers, thanks for watching.
I also have with me in the studio Danjuma Abbas Dangwa. He's a good governance advocate and one that stands for the truth all of the time. Both of them have been on the program in the past, and they gave us angles to different issues bordering on minority persecuted communities. And today, I am also inviting them back to come share and lend their wealth of experience to the issue that we are discussing on the program today. The Christmas Day terror attack in communities in Plateau State.
You see, Big Brother is, I like to correct one impression before. We are not really minorities. Plateau, a country, a state of about 5 million, 90% Christians. Benue, 6 million, 99% Christian. Southern Kaduna, 3 to 4 million, almost 70-80% Christian. We are not minorities. Please, we are not. Taraba, 80% to 90% Christians. How do you say we are minority? Please, we are not.
Okay.
But then I would like to agree with you, and I want to lump it up. What is really happening? It is economic cleansing, it is ethnic cleansing, it is land grabbing, it is an attempt to chase Christians away from the land, the ancestral home which they are blessed with. And it is done with the knowledge of the government, both the federal and the state government. And I'll tell you one reason why. Just one before I go further. In 2017 or 16 thereabouts, I and a reporter called Daniel Kalmach of Federal Radio Corporation, who were invited to Sabo here for a program.
Sabo in Kaduna State.
Kaduna here.
Northwest Nigeria.
Northwest Nigeria. And when we got there, somebody told us that, look, there are refugees within this Kataf Hall, so nearby. They were displaced from their community, Kajur County, and they were there as a result of Fulani attacks. And when we got there, our focus shifted from the event we were actually asked, because we saw that these people were lacking. They don't have medical facilities. They were over 5,000 crowded in Kataf. I don't know if you know Kataf Hall in Sabo. And and we're interviewing. And then the caretaker committee, the caretaker of the county or something like that.
The county,
the
local county, the county boss.
Yeah, the Capra kind also came and addressed, maybe I forgot it, came and addressed them, and then promised that some medical equipment and other things will be coming around soon. And Kalmach filed his report with Federal Radio Corporation, and I was then working with Kaduna News Online. I filed my report with Kaduna News Online. And the next thing we know, Kalmach called me saying, hey, they're after me. I've been queried. Who went to report? The governor, Nasser El-Rufai, went to report Kalmach. That Kalmach filed a wrong report, that there was nothing like a refugee camp in Sabo, and there was nothing like refugee in that place. That Kalmach just simply deceived, and Kalmach was about going to, it was going to be suspended. Then, the director from Abuja said, but these are the clips and these are interviews he had. And he even claimed that the county boss came around, and we have verified from other sources. So now, the question is, why is El-Rufai trying as hard as he could to say there was no refuge in that place? It happened again in Southern Kaduna when this popular Huri took us around. Then the same El-Rufai again said there was no refugee camps in Southern Kaduna and nobody was being displaced. And they took us, and we saw a lot of people. Their legs were chopped off, their hands. The place I went to is called Bondok.
Okay.
I don't know if you know the place. Bondok, just across the hill is Plateau State. And we saw a lot of carnage, and then the size of some refugee camp.
Okay.
Now, so you understand. So what I know that the federal government is actually the state government of the past. They are actually neck.
What state government are you talking about?
Kaduna state government they know who these bandits are. And I can tell you for sure from their actions that they are also involved or sponsoring or edging these bandits on to attack these people so that the bandits can take over the lands of the Christians who are not Fulanis, who are Idomas like me, who are maybe Kataf like this man, and who live in the Middle Belt, so that they can claim that they are the majority, they can take our land, they can take our farmland. And don't forget, Southern Kaduna is rich with mineral resources. Plateau, coal, timber, Benue, the same thing. We are the agricultural base of the country, the heartland. And these people want to claim it. And it will be to their benefit if they can exterminate 5 million Benue people from there and then populate that place with their people. And they'll claim to be a numerical supremacy in their quest to rule Nigeria.
All right, thank you so very much, Mike Odeh Akatu, for that angle that you just shared. I'll come to Danjuma Abbas to look at also the crisis in Middle Belt Nigeria. Mike Odeh Akatu was actually saying that these minority tribes shouldn't be called minority tribes. But looking at the larger picture, the tribes, comparing them to the population of Fulanis and Hausa in this region of the country, would you say they are a majority? Then secondly, you know these tribes are just pockets of tribes. When you put them together, yes, they may eventually be more than the population of the Hausa or Fulanis, but as single individual tribes, I think their population can still be called a minority. Let's put that on one hand. Now, the insistence on dissipating or clearing out Christians and other minority groups from the Middle Belt region of Nigeria. To what end, really? Is it religious or economic?
Well, I think it's actually filled with so much conspiracies as well. But the stark realities remain that it is about displacement, occupation. It is also about the use of any means and methods at all. In fact, it includes economic measures, financial exclusion where possible. There are also the issues of driving state development, because when you look at these communities that we're talking about, the Plateaus, which will also extend to areas like Kaura and Jamak counties, as you say, in Kaduna State. All of these spaces, you go there, you find that the needed infrastructure to enable effective response on land is really inadequate. And then when you consider also what infrastructure needs to be in place in terms of healthcare, education, even security is actually quite in doubt. Now, the entire happenings around the Plateau State area particularly is quite disturbing. There is a 3rd Armored Brigade headquarters division in Plateau State. There is a military air base in Plateau State. And there are also several other, formidable forces supports from Bauchi and other spaces that can actually respond to the challenges faced in Plateau. But it seems to be quite consistent. And again, the people who are perpetrating, the masterminds of all of these actions, are quite clear about where they can pull it. They are always out there looking for soft targets. When our armed forces move to concentrate on Plateau, you hear it is Kebbi, or you hear it is Niger, you hear it is Zamfara. A lot of spaces where they can find the loophole, where the minutes, time that is required can be guaranteed for them to perpetrate this attack, so that they can get the right kind of carnage, get the right kind of attention. And so far, while the early warning mechanism seems to be very effective, the early response framework seems to be quite lacking. I usually would measure every attack that happens based on the number of minutes that it is allowed to happen. I will use the word allowed to happen because certainly Nigeria as a nation is not incapable of responding to such a threat within the required time that can preempt the loss of lives. At the point where gunfire is sounded and heard, communities are already responding to these issues, and they are unable to muster themselves where they can be able to allow for security operatives to come in. And then you hear that 2 hours passed and they are not around. In the worst case scenarios that we had under the Buhari administration, attacks were happening lasting 4 hours plus, and yet there is no government response. So this situation happening again in this time and days is actually begging for more explanation as to what is going to be the service charter for our armed forces on their response time to every threat on the Nigerian state, because the threat on the Nigerian citizen is a threat on the Nigerian state, and we need to see that kind of response from our armed forces. And the president must very well lead on this decision, because so far, leaving it to just whoever he appoints to direct and dictate on issues of security will not really take us there sooner than we should.
All right, the program is Truth to Power, and it's coming to you right here on this frequency. And don't forget that the program is proudly sponsored or supported by Truth Nigeria. Truth Nigeria is a media website where you discover the truth about Nigeria. Go visit Truth Nigeria website and you'll see very great and wonderful stories. And of course, the terror/security alert that comes out regularly would always give us a step ahead to know whenever and wherever these issues are going to happen. Just make it a way of life to always visit Truth Nigeria so that you always keep abreast with all of this. And this podcast comes up every Thursdays and Sundays at 7 p.m. Also, watch us on Truth to Power podcast YouTube page, and of course, visit Truth Nigeria and also watch Truth to Power as a program. Wrapping up the program now, what would be your take on how we can resolve these issues?
All right. You see, like I wrote for my paper and for Truth Nigeria when I was doing an interview, David Otto said, and he's an analyst based in Nigeria, in London, and he has worked with the Nigerian military for several years, and he understands the military very well. He said, first and foremost, the state governor, there should be a mechanism that allows for the state governor to be in charge of the supervision of the troops under him, with the GOC, the General Officer Commanding. So he can direct the military to go and do this, go and do that. Don't wait. Are you there with me? Now, Colonel Stan Lambo and Mother Funam also had this opinion that, look, we need a state police and a security outfit. Again, it is only discriminatory against the Christians in our land, the Middle Belt, that we are not allowed to carry guns. That is, you are here. Cadvis, do they carry guns?
They do, yeah. Single shotguns.
Single shotguns, yeah. They carry. Zamfara, they carry. Kebbi, they carry. Adamawa, they carry. Now, here in my place, southern part of Kaduna, few months ago, before President Buhari was booted out on constitutional.
So before President Buhari sat his time out, he wasn't booted out.
God booted him out. To me, it's a bad omen that should never be allowed to happen to Nigeria and Christianity. Now, bandits will come around 9 o'clock in the evening or night time. That is when they operate. And please feel free to dispute me. And gang, 9 till 12. As a journalist, I have numbers of the police commissioner, of security outfits, and the army response. You call, they will not answer. And when the youths decided that, look, within Maraba Ridu, decided that, okay, it is high time we get a one-day gun and bow and arrow. Let's resist these guys. And when they did that, the next day, the military came down, started searching and then confiscating arms. The report I covered in Taraba, the same thing. So the military dispossessed the Christians of their weapons, locally made weapons, fabricated weapons, which in the north they carry more than that. So now back to what we are saying. We should be allowed to have our security outfit. The Southwest has their own Amotekun.
Yeah.
And that is why you can see they are battling insecurity to a halt. The Southeast, despite the fact that the government does not want it, the IPOB came up with their own instant security network, and they were able to chase out the Fulani bandits. So why should we not have a security outfit on our own, or the state develop that? Again, we are looking for a solution. The lands that have been confiscated, that have been seized by these Fulanis, should be returned, or there will be no peace. And like here in Kaduna, the governor El-Rufai said, we dared us. He said, look, bring out the list of communities or counties that you know that have been occupied by terrorists. And when I called on Azaman, he listed more than 20. Look, Abinyat did the same thing. In Plateau, there are. In Benue, the same thing. So what are we saying? The federal government should take action. You can see Move One of Plateau is saying the same thing. Yeah. There are mechanisms to take lands. There are mechanisms to come and you take land. And there's what we call ancestral homes. These are land where my grandfather, I will be given. This is land where I will be buried. My father was buried. My grandfather will be buried there. Somebody from Libya, somebody from Niger, somebody because he's a header is coming to take over my land. It's not going to be happen. It's not going to be possible. They are only breeding a kind of Arab-Israeli war within Nigeria if it is not resolved. Thanks.
Danjuma, Abbas, Dangwa.
I would say in simple terms that we're actually witnessing the plot to bring about an extinction of indigenous groups in Nigeria. And that is actually what the world, stands the chance of witnessing if the silence continues.
That's the size of Truth to Power today. And you've heard it all. The recurring Yuletide attack that happened in Plateau State, Nigeria, and other communities in the middle belt of Nigeria. It's not something that we should allow to continue. Most especially, the world should rise up and see that it doesn't continue. And everything that needs to be done must be done to ensure that everybody have the right to life, have the right to sleep and wake up to another prosperous day. I want to sincerely appreciate Truth Nigeria for proudly supporting the program Truth to Power. Until next time, when we'll be on again, I sincerely appreciate Mike Odeh Akatu, a journalist and reporter for Truth Nigeria, and of course to Danjuma, Abbas, Dangwa, good governance advocate. Thank you so much for having time to be on Truth to Power today.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
Yeah.